social animals. They can't live alone.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the next episode of our TCG Scrubs Podcast. I'm here with myself, Colin, as well as
Joe.
And Oscar.
Golly, that was terrible.
I was waiting for
thinking
Joe
Oscar.
to go.
No, I was waiting for
Yeah,
Oscar.
well.
So.
From this point on, I'll go last.
And for the topics for this podcast, we're going to be sort of going over a weekly ruler, essentially a ruler that we think we want to spotlight, and then each of us have individually come up with a card that we think is essential or really good to go into a deck with this ruler, and we haven't told each other what that card is yet, so we'll go over it and either say spot on or give thumbs down depending on what card it is. And so I mentioned this on my Patreon, but I want to give a thanks to Vroomer, who came up with a lot of these ideas. And also I want to do a quick thanks to jruler.net, who's helping us with the podcast and transferring it hopefully pretty soon here to iTunes and different things like that you guys were asking for. So something to look forward to, but big thanks to those guys.
Yeah.
You have anything to say on that, Oscar?
No, just it's really awesome of them, especially J Ruler, to help out.
Yeah. But yeah, so going into, you guys just want to jump into the topic at hand here?
Sure. I mean, just jump into the cards that we picked.
Ruler. We'll start out with the ruler, since
ruler
they don't know
first.
the ruler. So the ruler we decided to sort of go over this week is Faria. So this ruler that came out of Legacy Lost. It has the ability on one side where you can discard an inheritance card to draw a card. But the main draw is when you J activate, and once per turn now she's able to play the first inheritance you play per turn you get to play for free. And so that's the big draw for her, because you can play not only inheritance cards for free, and you can play high cost ones and stuff like that. So just has a lot of consistency, but it's a ruler we really haven't seen that much of play with. I think I saw it a couple times when Legacy Lost first came out, but not much since then. So
There was actually the last ARG states that had ever happened. The Dallas one was won by this deck. And they had an attendance of 30 people, so you can't say it was a small amount, and that's why it won.
I can't say that.
No,
yeah, you can say
Everybody at that ARG sucked. That's right.
Joey's Zero Bomb won in a thing that size. So
we had
It was
20.
not
It wasn't
that
even
size.
that size, yeah.
We had like 26.
20,
No, we didn't.
20
It was-
back then is pretty much 30 right now. So
It was more like 18 because two people dropped pretty early on.
yeah, they dropped because they saw my zero bomb. Anyways, I actually think Faria. One of the reasons originally I thought she wasn't really worth looking at was because of the Moonbeam was so prevalent in the meta and stuff. But now that it's gone, I really like her zero cost God's Art, which is she gains barrier until end of turn. Without Moonbeam being unable to chase anything into that card, I think this is actually protects your ruler way better.
Oh yeah, especially it's just a zero cost free barrier, and the deck itself is going to be running yellow, so you have at least I think 2 or 3 options, if not more, of giving yourself barrier on top of that with just yellow cards.
Yeah, and and trying to actually do enough damage to kill her too is really difficult, because you do have free inheritance cards that you can play from your hand.
One free
which,
inheritance card.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah, no.
still.
So we'll go ahead and get to we'll get to the cards. We each have the one card, like I said, that we think should go in the deck, and then we can sort of talk on what a deck should look like for Faria and different things like that. So, Oscar, what card did you decide to bring to the table?
Didn't Oscar say he wanted to go last?
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, Joey, what card did you bring to the table?
Didn't I say I wanted to go second?
Yeah.
No. I'm fine. Okay, so this means I didn't even need to check for a secondary card, because I don't think anybody. Well, I mean, if somebody picked it, then they need to go to their secondary.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Screw them. So I went with something that I had, a lot of different inheritance options I thought were really obvious that you could pick, but in the end I ended up going with a Rendezvous of Light and Wind. This is the dual chant 4-cost quick cast. all of the different combo colors had these kind of like chants where it was basically if you control a light J resonator and a wind J resonator, you can do both. So this one was choose one. If you control both, you can. If you control a light and a wind J resonator, you can choose both. So you may put a light or wind resonator with total cost 4 or less from your hand into your field, or put 4 +1/+1 counters on each J resonator you control. Now, I did kind of play around with a similar deck like this, and I think this is a super like underrated card because it essentially gives one of your resonators quick cast, which is like can be a huge power play. And then if you do have those two, light and wind J resonators, the +4/+4 counters on every resonator you control is just pretty insane. Even with and these are counters, so it's not like it's a temporary buff. They're sticking on there, and if you have Faria out, she is also getting the 4 +1/+1 counters. So I just think it's like it's really well costed. Given something quick cast and actually playing that creature for 4, or less, and the +4, the 4 +1/+1 counters on top of that, I think just makes it super valuable in like a mid-game area.
No, that's a pretty cool card actually.
Yeah.
I had totally forgotten about it. I think I had at least played with it a little bit once, but as a lot of I do like the versatility of it, and I didn't even think of that technically giving a resonator quick cast because the chant itself has quick cast, so you're able to bring a resonator out and potentially do some pretty strong moves. In combination with that.
Yeah, I'm a real huge fan of this these chants, and I really like this one in particular just because it just feels good getting all those counters on, especially if you are like a mid-range deck. If you are focusing on a mid-range deck, then you're gonna have a couple of decent guys out when this hopefully drops. And so, the swing, if you're blocking something, because also keep in mind, I believe you are able to, I don't remember, we actually had this question come up when I played it. I don't remember if the creature you played gets the +4/+4 counters.
I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, it enters the field, then this triggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if
you
there's
you
two
pick the order.
simultaneous
You can
triggers,
pick
you
put
pick the order.
Yeah.
And I believe that was right. Which so it's just really really good stuff. I think it's a good card though.
No, I like that. All right. So I won't ridicule that card too much.
Yeah, 'cause it's a good card. I mean, to be fair, I'd probably only play maybe 2 or 3. In the deck,
well, it's a late game card, so you don't want to get caught with it early game because then you just have a dead card for a minimum of 4 turns. Yeah, no. So the card I chose, that hasn't seen any play, and for pretty much for good reason. But I feel like it could be potentially pretty good, especially inside of the Inheritance deck, is the Light Dragon Egg. So this is the 2-cost 0/400, and when it's put into the graveyard from your field, you get a 6/6 Light Dragon Resonator with flying into your field. However, it has Inheritance for 3, and you just straight up get that Flying Dragon. Now, the reason I like this card is, obviously you've got the chump blocker. If you want to just put it straight into your field, and when it dies, you get the dragon, assuming it goes to your graveyard and nothing weird happens and stuff like that. So there's the obvious thing. However, the thing I liked about it, especially when she flips and you get the 1 free inheritance per turn, as far as I can tell, or at minimum for the most part, this is the only inheritance that gives you an actual body on the field. All the other inheritances do buffs and different things like that, mostly buffs and counters. This one actually just straight up puts a flying body onto your field, so being able just to play a free 6/6 flying resonator after you've J-activated once per turn, I feel like is a really strong. And this came out in Echoes of the New World, so it wasn't something that came out when Faria had originally come out. So I think it's something that would definitely, I think if you're running an Inheritance deck, this would be one of the ones that I would definitely want to put in, just because getting free bodies on the field, I feel like could potentially be very strong.
Something I did originally kind of scoff at this card and kind of wrote it off when you said it, because I don't think it's the first half is any good at all, but I like that but I like your idea that it's basically free when you're deactivated. It has the same quick cast capabilities as like it's basically like a 6/6 dragon with quick cast, which means and the thing that a lot of people don't realize about Glorious, I think I was calling her Faria, wasn't I? Glorious. Oh no, it is.
It is.
Okay, it's Glorious and Faria. Okay, my bad. So the thing a lot of people don't realize about Faria is that you can play her free inheritance once per turn, which means you can drop light dragon eggs on their turn, and have swiftness on your turn. Or you can even, if you can even hold up, inheritance cards when you swing in with Faria, and then if you end up not needing to play any inheritance cards, or you didn't want to pump your guy up, you can just drop a light dragon egg, a 6/6 dragon egg at the end of your turn, for basically free.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I would think it's probably better just to use it for the inheritance.
Well, that's the main reason. Like, you'd only use it if you're having trouble or not going to be able to J-activate or something like that. Then you just put it down as a chump blocker and hope that it properly dies, essentially. But
yeah, like, I was going to say, it was like just in case it had water transformation.
Yeah, well, like I said, that's why I say if it goes to the graveyard, if it dies correctly, essentially. Doesn't get removed from game or anything like that. But the main thing is the inheritance, and mainly inheritance after you J-activate.
Right, exactly. I think its cost is pretty bad if you actually pay the 3 for inheritance, which sometimes you might have to, yes. But I think it really does come into play when you can just drop this after you're already after Faria is established, and you have some room to do it. Especially dropping that on their turn when it's essentially free is definitely pretty good. Okay, all right.
Cool.
I like yeah. That's some spicy card. I like it.
Yeah.
Interesting angle.
What do you got for us, Oscar?
So what I picked, I felt you would only run 2 of it in the deck, and it's mostly useful in certain situations because it has a couple different modes you can play it with, and that's Feetsing, the Fate Spinning Winds. She's a 2-cost green, 6/6 if you put her in the field, and she's a quick cast, so you can put her in the field quickly in response to something. It bounces like one of your resonators to your hand, which could be useful in a situation where, say, you have one of your other inheritance cards and you want to play, say, you're attacking and you need 600 more damage. You can inheritance that, was it Shining Kirin, to gain the +6/+6, and it helps buff. Like I said, it's very situational, but I thought it was pretty useful.
Right.
Something you can bounce or buff is what I was feeling.
Yeah, I like how you have kind of like you can use it as like a scalpel for there's a lot of different uses you can use it for. Mm-hmm. What I don't like about it is that the inheritance feels like you want to run her monocle, and I don't really like the monocle.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to. You can always just fail a search.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to because you put some stuff on the bottom from your mulligan, so you're trying to randomize that deck again.
Yeah, it's pretty. So why do you think that this card you would put higher than the other? I forget the name. The other inheritance one that also buffs +6/+6.
Because of the bounce part.
Yeah.
But do you think the bounce is more valuable than what the other guy gives?
Well, I mean, I like that I have the option.
Ah.
And not just that, but like a quick cast option. Maybe I have her in hand and I almost have game, so maybe I throw her down on my opponent's turn at the end of their turn, come to my turn, and I can start swinging with her once that's ready.
Which card was the other inheritance card you were thinking of, Colin?
Oh, bother. Give me one sec. I'll find them. But,
was it the Divine Beast, or was it...
Yeah, Divine Beast of Ataract, yeah.
Okay.
because Divine Beast was sort of the staple inside the deck, I remember, and it's because he gives the +6/+6 buff, but he also has the ability of whenever you play an inheritance ability, he gains +2/+2, and you get to gain life off of him as well. So he becomes sort of a really big card potentially.
Yeah, but you
depending
also
on what
have
stage
to.
of game.
I feel like with that one though, you're really leaning on that first one pretty heavily to like hope he stays in play.
Right. I mean, you know,
The
I
feasting
feel like
one,
both can like exist.
yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was just curious why, because obviously you would probably play Divine Beast in every deck and stuff like that. So I was curious why feasting higher than that. But I mean, the bounce is definitely nice depending on the type of cards and stuff you're
Yeah.
running. And being able to just constantly bounce and replay abilities, especially stuff with enters and stuff like that, would be cool.
Mhm.
All right. Yeah, so let's know below, guys, which one of those three cards is your favorite.
Or do
And-
you have a better one that we should have talked about?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
there's some really great ones. Like I also really want to talk about Faria's summon because like
Okay.
I like how it gives you the like a possible inheritance guy to throw out. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of other options.
Yeah, so when you're if you were to say go and make a Faria deck and construct it, what would that type of inheritance deck look like? How much inheritance would you run in there? Would it be almost completely inheritance cards since they could be either a resonator or a spell technically, so you don't need as many chance? Or do you think it's still an even distribution of resonators to chance, etc.? Like, what do you guys think an inheritance deck looks like? We'll
Yeah,
start with
we should-
Oscar.
What do I think it looks like? I would probably build it to where I wouldn't heavily put it on inheritance resonators. I'd probably just put a few of them and then just run some standard spells you see in most decks, you know, like Severing Winds, probably Faria Summon, Kage's Moonbeam Butterfly, a lot of green yellow. I don't know what other color I'd put in if I did another one, maybe red. And I mean that's just kind of how I see it. I know you want to use inheritance with this, but I wouldn't lean heavily on it. That's just the way I would play it.
I like the idea of like definitely going mid range with Faria. You know, I think deactivating early enough to where you're actually putting some pressure on your opponent, because I like that you don't lose out on a stone when you do the turn you deactivate, since you put the top card of your Mana Stone deck into your field. I also like that, you know, there's a lot of huge potential damage like Faria can do. Like, you know, if you're running the 5-cost inheritance ability that I don't remember its name right now. I think it's like Sacred Current or something like that. Sacred Komainu. But anyways, I like that, you know, that's like a huge thousand option for Faria, and like, you know, it's a lot of potential damage that can come through. But I like the idea of like getting out some threats pretty early and then deactivating, you know, pretty early. It's interesting that, you know, there's probably not a lot of ways to really protect your mid game guys, but so I mean, because the thing about like a mid range deck is that, you know, it's control just kind of beats out mid range most of the time. And so there's a lot of control going on right now. So I feel like a lot of, you know, you'd probably run every single counter spell, you know, or the, you know, at least the 3 big ones. But,
Yeah,
you know.
I feel like, yeah, the way I would put it together is like you said, yeah, running the cancel spells and counter spells. I would run a bunch of those with the green. I would run the sort of Red Riding Hoods and different things like that that bring stones out, and obviously you get the stone when you deactivate. So I feel like it can build upon that and sort of fish out as many stones as you can early game. And then I would just make the rest of the deck inheritance so that you can essentially counter people and just bide yourself some time to get stones out, enough stones out that not only can you play inheritance, but you can also J-activate and get that free inheritance, and then keep playing inheritance, keep playing resonators, and just you have the option of either doing flooding your field or playing spells and different things like, or not spells, but inheritance abilities, which are basically spells that, or a chance that can't be canceled the normal way in some respects or countered certain ways. So I would just go all in on the inheritance side of it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when do you guys feel like a proper time to like deactivate when the like in if you were to make a deck, like do you think maybe doing like a late game deactivation is better, or like as soon as you can?
I would say as soon as you can. Like if you went second and turn 2 for you, so you just energize and flip, gain that because of the extra stone gain.
Okay, but at the same time, if you go too early, like you're sitting on 2 stones.
Yeah.
For a lot of the rest of the game, at that point.
Yeah, I would do like similar to how I play Soul, where with Soul there are situations where I do J-activate as soon as I can, turn 2 or what have you, but most of the time I wait to build up a pretty solid stone base of like 5 or so stones. What I know to be the minimum amount I need for most, if not all, of the cards in my deck, and then I usually feel comfortable J-activating. It depends on what deck I'm playing against, but usually I would probably do something similar. I think the highest inheritance is the big lion dude for 5 cost or something like that, so I'd wait to get 4 or 5 stones, and then I would J-activate majority of the time I feel like. You know
what card I would run in this deck? Divine Bird of Ataraxia.
Yeah, I honestly thought that's the card you're gonna
see when I approached it. It is one of the tabs I had open, but I was trying to pick something that will obviously you run Divine Bird. Yeah, you'd run was it Faria Summon? I was trying to pick something that wasn't as popular to try to talk about.
I don't know if I like Divine Bird in this deck honestly, because Glorious' front side already has her discard a card with inheritance and draw a card cycle, which is literally just Divine Bird, except you don't have to pay anything for it.
Mm-hmm.
So like every inheritance card you have has the same effect as Divine Bird of Ataraxia. Well, if you inheritance. If you actually just play it, then I feel like, I don't know, you'd rather just play Tama or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually a good point, that she passively basically has Divine Bird.
And she doesn't have that on her flip side, because she loses that ability. But I feel like on her flip side, if you use Divine Bird, inheritance for free, then you're losing out on other better free options. And if you use it for the green, then it's fine. But I feel like it's a little too limited for the kind of deck that I would run.
Yeah.
That's just me personally.
We should just build our own versions of this, and then like Colin was saying, play each other with them.
Oh yeah. do a round robin?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty exciting.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, Oscar. I like that.
It's Colin's idea. I don't want to steal it.
Kind of my idea was actually completely different, but
oh, I thought that's what you were talking about when you told me.
No, my idea was secretly while we're talking, I was going to write down every card we mention and just create a Frankenstein deck and then play with that.
Okay.
Against a real deck.
Well, guys, let us know in the comments which would you rather see.
Well, it's too late now. Now the cat's out of the bag. Yeah, we'll
right.
I like the idea of we'll do a mini tournament here, and we'll throw it up like the day after, or day or 2 days after this comes up, depending on I think we decide on Tuesdays when news comes out, so we'll put it up at some point after the podcast comes out so that there's some context.
There'll be some days where some people have like 2 videos showing up.
Yeah. And no, that'll be pretty interesting. Because we all 3 gave at least pretty unique, different enough from each other ideas for the deck that it definitely, the play styles would at minimum be different.
No one gets to run a Rendezvous of Light and Wind. Only I can run that.
That's fine. I wasn't gonna run it. I was just being nice about it, Joey.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. What do you guys think of Rendezvous Light and Wind in Maria Bella?
Yeah, it's not bad.
That's not bad. It's at minimum average. Yeah.
I mean, you're paying the Maria Bella's cost anyways. You're getting Stone Ramp, and Maria Bella's gonna be 14/14. All I'm saying is, I feel like a mid-range like deck that is based around this would be really good. And like I feel like Maribela, while not a common pick, might be an interesting thing to put in this, because probably one of the best forecast.
So you'd run red in it.
I mean, the thing is, you don't even. I mean, yes, I'd probably run red in it, but you don't really have to run red, since you have a Rendezvous of Light and Wind. You get to cast it and put the Maribela in for free, so you don't need the red.
Yeah,
but yes, I would.
Canceled,
yeah, I know. I would definitely run red in it. If I was running Maribela.
Yeah.
Well,
no, for sure. Yeah, Oscar?
No, I was saying, well, like, I feel like we talked the topic to death, but we can move on to another category now.
I guess if you hate Faria that much, Jesus.
Well, no, we talked about it a lot. 20 minutes in now.
Yeah, no. So I guess if you guys want to talk about what are your thoughts so far on the direction we're going with the spoilers for the next set?
I was gonna ask the same question. I'll talk second.
Have we really only been like podcasting for like 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Maybe it's been like 28 minutes on my end, but
it shows 28, but I'm giving it some time.
Right, like 5 minutes.
Probably,
okay, that's fair. Can you repeat the question?
How do you feel? Pretty much, how do you feel about all the starters we've seen? Like the direction it's going, the feel it has. Like, what are your feelings towards it so far?
Well, as a person doing the spoilers, I think the schedule is a little bit crazy.
It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I think I like that it's almost constant spoilers, which is great for just a passive viewer. But have for someone who's actually like trying to record that every day, it's not too bad, but it might get a little difficult later. But for I like that that we get to see new stuff literally every day, and yeah, it's only 4 things, but so far I'm liking it.
Yeah, I mean, and I noticed that like some of the other YouTube channels like Negative Legend or DMO73, none of them have done spoiler videos yet, because I have a feeling they may wait till the end of the week and just do a whole recap over them. Of course, when this comes out, we would find out by then, but that's what I think that most of them are holding out for.
But as far as the actual spoilers themselves go, I think tomorrow will be the last spoilers, which means, or was today?
No, it was tonight.
Spoilers?
Tonight was the last one, so
cool,
we'll see them again Sunday night.
I like the spoilers released this week. Besides one, he who shall not be named, but all of the other ones, I really think are pretty interesting. I think the Demon King so far has a lot of interesting like mechanics and stuff that I'm pretty excited to explore.
Well, before we get too far away from it, since we actually haven't talked about this, is the card that should not be named. Get everyone's thoughts on that, and in case you guys don't know, it's the 1-cost green that they introduced. So it's a 1-cost quick cast, and it cancels target spell your opponent plays, and then they get to play a card of equal value for free. That's all that there is to it, right, text-wise?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's called Otherworld Dreams, a name which will be a name synonymous with like really bad stuff happening, and a lot of people aren't gonna like it.
Yeah, so at its face value, just on its own, it's not too terrible. The problem is the conjunction of everything else in the game. I feel like if there was no other themes in the game, on its own it might be okay.
My first read of it, I had assumed it meant like you could only play the cost of the card canceled. I was like, oh, well, it depends on them having the card. But then I reread it later. I was like, oh, no, you can play or less.
Yeah, and it's there's definitely situations where there's a chance it could benefit the person, but that's automatically canceled out by the existence of Severed Winds, which, in case you guys don't know, you can play this cancel, and it cancels their card, so that goes away. And so they play a card for free based on that card's effect, and when that card comes out, they can then play Severing Winds to cancel that card. So they get to essentially get rid of 2 cards in your hand completely canceled for the cost of 1 will total.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is technical counterplay with playing your own Severing Winds, which, you know, just means that Severing Winds is even more prevalent now, because, you know, then it depends on if they have 2 Severing Winds. But I think, I honestly, like, disregarding whether or not, like, how amazing the card is with Severing Winds, I think even without it, it's just entirely too good. So, and I kind of talked about this on my spoiler video, but I think the idea that you aren't losing out on card advantage when you do this play is just way too good for what it does. Like, and I don't like that it's like 1 mana, because that's just entirely too cheap. And because my main thing about it is that even though they get to play something, so they're not technically losing out on their mana that they played, they're still losing out on the card that they wanted to play, and they're playing, you know, something that's suboptimal for what their deck does. So, like, if they play, you know, if they play a Scorn of Dark Alice or Nameless Mist to, like, get information like that, and you just cancel it, then, you know, their other option might be just to, like, play a Sacred Elf or something that's, like, not what their deck wanted to do. And I think that being able to stop their initial plan of action is just really, really frustrating, and, like, not losing out on card advantage just makes the card too good. I think if it had some kind of, like, tempo loss for you because it's so incredibly cheap, it would be okay, but I think as it is, it's just a little ridiculous.
But let's say they did increase the cost. Would you want it to be 2 green or a green and a void?
I'd probably be okay with, like, a green and a void. I think, honestly, I think at 2 mana, it's not really that playable either, though, because, you know, like, I think there's, like, look at older cancels, like Seal of Wind and Light, yeah. Like, those just were just 2 mana pretty much anyways, and yes, they were green and yellow, but I think the drawbacks at 2 mana, it's just too much. But
well, yeah, it's because we have cheaper cancels now.
Yeah, I think if the second card was, I don't know, even if the second card can come out and is, like, if it read, like, you know, the second card played can't be canceled, I think a lot of people would be more okay with it. But I think even then, it would just be a little too good.
I feel like it's just an unneeded card. Like, there wasn't a reason to print that. We literally, like Oscar was talking about this, how we already have Severing Winds for cancel. We have the 2 cost still cancel technically from the starter deck. We have the 3 cost cancel that just came out. What was the other one, Oscar? It was
we have a
Millennium Bond cancel.
Yeah, one's from the.
Yeah, I mentioned this.
Well, no, Feasting starter deck had cancels as well.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you got the one from the
3 cost, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And so we already have a plethora of cancels that are all fairly balanced for the most part. And so there's just no need for even more cancels on top of that. And one thing I had said was we have each of the cancels, there's ways to play around it. So Millennia Bond only cancels chance, so there's ways to sort of semi-avoid that. Severing Winds, you can play around that. I've already said I really like Severing Winds because I think it adds sort of something you got to be careful of. You got to play a lot more smart. You have to be prepared to lose your second card, so you have to play what your first card is a lot more carefully, different things like that. And it adds counterplay to decks that otherwise could never counterplay. However, so there's ways to go around it. There's ways to go around the 3 cost cancel by just being aware that they have 3 will up, different things like that. So they all have drawbacks essentially, but by introducing this can now cancel everything on top of the cancels that Severing Winds and all the others could do. So there's literally nothing you can do, nothing you can play that can't be canceled now for 1 or 0 will at this point, because they can cancel the 1, and as soon as they cancel that 1 and you're playing a second one, they can Severing Winds that second one, or they can save it because now you've already played the 2 cards and they can Severing Wind something else. So it just feels like there's no way to play around cancels outside of running a pure green deck, because you could get lucky with the Severing Winds, but that's about all you can do outside of a green deck.
Yeah, and I can definitely agree. Do you think the card would be balanced without Severing Winds?
I was thinking about that. I feel like it'd be more balanced, because then you at least don't have that fear of the second card being canceled. You're at least like, oh, that sucks that was canceled for only one will, but at least I'm getting something out of it. Something's being played. Something is always better than nothing being played, especially after you've already spent the will. You're not getting it back. So I'd rather play something than nothing majority of the time. So I feel like it would at least it would still be strong, but it wouldn't. I wouldn't feel like offended by it, by like they're going to cancel this card and then they're going to cancel this card, and unless I have a cancel, that's just going to happen. And if I have a cancel, they could potentially cancel again for another 0 will, and for one will they've gotten rid of 3 of my cards, and I'm down however much will.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that if you do, for example, let's say you do get into like a cancel battle with someone over these cards, like the scenario is pretty much going to go, you play a card, I play a card, my card cancels your card, you need to play another card.
Fair spell, that's the other cancel. We
exactly.
have a one cost cancel of quick cast. We're good on cancels.
And so basically we've traded 1 for 1, but now you're playing one more spell, and then I'm going to try and cancel that spell with Severing Winds. And so now I'm up on, now you have to play a card to cancel my stuff. So I'm always going to be 1 card ahead of you. So if you Severing Winds my Severing Winds, I can now just use a Faria spell to stop your next, your Severing Winds cancel. And yes, I'm down on cancels, but I'm still up on actual cards played.
Yeah, and I also feel like there's a trade-off. Like, if I play this card, the Dreams, and to cancel one of theirs, and I don't care about the other one, and then there's no point in wasting more cancels,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and honestly, there's going to be times where, you're down to the wire, or, it's been a very close game, and you cancel something, and they just don't have anything else they can play, or, or they just, nothing is just good that they get to play. Like,
yeah, so they only have 1 card in their hand.
Yeah.
It's a 1 cost cancel then.
Exactly. Like, if you're top decking, then it just turns into a 1 cost cancel. You're right. And if they play a 5 cost, if they top deck like a hook or something, or whatever great resonator that's going to bring them back from the game, and they play that, you get a 1 cost cancel, and oh no, they can't play that. Now they have to play their Tama that they had in their hand, or their Sacred Elf, or the terrible, terrible card that they don't, or the card that just doesn't have synergy in their deck without another card, and that's the card they have to play. Like, they have to fall back on this card. Like, think about like reactionary spells. If they have murders, right? And they play a resonator, and you cancel that resonator, and the rest of their hand are like murders maybe, but they don't have targets, or or they have bad targets to murder. That just means that that's pretty much a lot of the time. Yeah, I don't know what percentage, maybe like 35 to 40% of the time, this is just going to be a 1 green mana cancel a card. And I think that's just entirely too good.
That's true. Yeah, no, and and it's at a time where, well, one, Oscar had mentioned that he felt it was a counter for, it was meant to sort of counter Severing Winds, I think you said, Oscar, or like it felt like that's what the idea was.
Right.
And it was like, I thought that's what the idea was behind Fear's spell, the 1 cost quick cast, because that cancels a quick cast for 1, and which works on Severing Winds and stuff like that. So and when you said that, it made me think of, like, obviously I'm not one of them, but there is a decent amount of people in the community who want Severing Winds banned, including Stephanie Shaw and stuff. And so it made me think of, maybe the company is aware that people don't like the card and want it banned, But once again, as always, instead of banning it, they're trying to print answers to it and forgetting that these answers are going to break 80 other things in the game. Kind of like what happened with Black Moonbeam. They're like, this will fix Reflect and Frayne, and all it did was kill the game even more.
Well,
and they ended up banning Reflect or Frayne anyways.
I would say with Reflect or Frayne, I think
I'm not comparing
Shackles.
it to Reflect or Frayne.
Right, no,
example,
but I never felt like Black Moonbeam was really the counter to Reflect or Frayne. I always felt like Shackles was
Well,
a better,
I feel like they
better
didn't they
actual counter.
physically say, or didn't they actually say it was meant to help?
They said, I believe, I don't exactly remember, but I thought that they said there was a card coming up in the next set or the next couple sets that were going to be answers to Reflect or Frayne. When they printed Moonbeam, people thought that was it.
Yeah, I think they said, and then people asked if that was the answer, and they said yes. And then
by they, you are talking about Jordan, who everybody already disagrees with. And second is, they said it several times. I think the Raphael card was supposed to be another answer that just didn't even work out.
Well, and they did the same thing with Persia. When Persia was happening, they were like, don't worry, the next set, I think it was either Echoes or the set right before Echoes. They said or no, maybe this says when she came out. I don't know. It was probably Echoes that said there's going to be an answer to Persia that's going to neuter her. And I genuinely don't even know what card they were even referring to. Obviously, it didn't work. And maybe that's a good thing, because if it was a strong card that could have potentially worked, then it probably would have broken other stuff in the game. But I remember that being a big thing, too, and obviously that...
Real quick, just in case people were wondering, Guardian Angel Raphael is what I was talking about from BFA.
Yeah, that was a girl who you couldn't use activate abilities on your opponent couldn't use activate abilities, right? Of their
of their J/rulers or
on their
Regalia
turn.
During their turn.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
As well as standbys.
My original point though was that, like, I sincerely doubt that they printed this card as an answer to Severing Winds without at least understanding that the card works with Severing Winds. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. You know, I can't look into their, like, R&D department and, like, you know, people were play testing the card and never once thought instantly when people saw that card, they thought, oh wow, you can play this, and then Severing Winds next card. Like, so I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a card that was meant to counter Severing Winds. Because I just think that's ridiculous. Like,
unless they're coming
it makes
out
Severing Winds better, but
unless like the new CR will come out with a new set and it has some sort of new typing of like Athena is only a spell if you paid for it, or some weird like wording like that, so that Severing Winds wouldn't work on it because you haven't paid for the cards. I don't know how you would word it so that it would technically become a different type of action than just straight up playing it, but that would be my only thing. Either that or they're like what happened with Demon King, where they missed a word or typed it wrong.
The thing about this though is that like this card, let's imagine that they printed it as an answer to Severing Winds. Like, it doesn't do anything that Faria Spell doesn't do to Severing Winds.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same cost, it has the same effect, except it actually lets you play a 4-cost spell, or 4-cost or less spell after your Severing Winds gets canceled. Like, in my opinion, there's no way this was supposed to be some kind of answer to Severing Winds. Like, there's no situation in where Faria Spell just doesn't do exactly what this card was supposed to do. Or, like, the card doesn't do anything that Faria Spell doesn't do, and it actually does it worse, because it lets them play another card after their Severing Winds gets canceled. But, I don't know. I will say, you know, we probably should wait until the full set gets released and see if, I don't know, they release some other bonkers card.
Well, that's what I was telling Oscar, is that the only way that this card could be theoretically justified, not fully, but kind of justified, is if they end up releasing cards that not only counter it, but counter cancels or something like that in general. Inside of like yellow or black or something like that, or maybe they'll introduce some type of mechanic within crests or something like that sort of goes across the spectrum of colors. Maybe a void card, kind of like they did with Idols, that helps like it. your opponent, kind of like with the
Right.
Wukong Resonate, your opponent pays one more to play all chance or something like that. Some type of Void Idol or something like that would, I feel like, balance it out. Or I understand. I know there's better ways to do it, but like off the top
Well,
of my head.
so there's a and and this is another like this may or may not happen, but Magic had a land that was printed that if you paid, it was something like creatures played with this mana can't be countered. And so that, I don't know if why they made it or if that was in a similar like set where there were a lot of counters going on. But if Force of Will, made a stone that, and yes, it might, it would depend on what it created. Maybe it creates void mana, right? Or, or you pay it with void. But if you could pay, if you tap that stone and the stone red, spells paid with this mana or with this will can't be countered or can't be canceled, then that would maybe make more sense if they printed that in this same set, because that not only does that bypass Severing Winds, it bypasses this other new OP cancel spell, and it would bypass a Fair spell too.
Cavern
So
of Souls, by the way.
yeah. Oh wow, I'm surprised you knew that, Oscar. Unless you like Googled it.
I googled it.
Yeah, I was about to say he totally googled that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't gonna name drop anything, but yes. So I feel like
Which, by the
maybe
way,
that
is
could.
slightly different than what you said.
Okay, so yeah. Read the effect for me, because I
So
don't
it says,
actually.
as Cavern of Souls enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. And it has 2 activated abilities. The second one says, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Spend this mana to only cast a creature spell of the chosen type.
Okay.
And that spell
Yeah.
can't be countered.
Got it. Okay. So similar, but obviously not as good as I was making it sound. But but there's certainly something that Force of Will could do with that, to where because right now we have cards that cannot be canceled with Alhamat's Black Lightning is the only card right now that cannot be canceled. And so adding in a Cavern of Souls type card into the game might be a good counter to this.
What so we'll real quick finish up with this last sort of thought real quick, and then we'll wrap this up. So outside of that specific card, how do you think the next set overall is shaping up? Do you think it's first, do you guys like it? Do you think it's maintaining the sort of lower power level we saw in Ancient Knights, so that the game overall is going to level out, or do you think it's raising the power level, lowering it, or maintaining? And so what are your guys' overall thoughts on that?
So I'll start with this one real quick. I do like it so far, especially since white looks like it's getting even better. For the power level, I do think it's increasing, because if you look at the page of spoilers alone, we already have quite a few like one cost quick casts. They're pretty good. Shayla's Return, the cancel we just talked about, and the Wind of Gold. Is that what it says?
Which card?
I'm not sure which one that is.
Winds of Gold.
Winds of Gold.
Yeah, it's the one like the white card. You can pay 1 less to play it if you control Raw. Target J Resonate or yourself gains barrier until end of turn.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of cheap 1 costs that are
yeah.
pretty good.
Right.
Is what I'm trying to get at.
I really like the Raw, and then and then that combo.
Raw.
That's pretty interesting. Raw's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But,
I really like Raw.
I don't know if I would entirely agree with you, Oscar. Mainly because my bad. Mainly because I think that a lot of the Magic Crest stuff feels like super slow and not very strong.
Right.
Like there's a lot of other good cards that are being spoiled right now, which but I think the Magic Crest stuff is kind of bad.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I'm just pointing out the 1 cost
But yes,
chance we've gotten so far. They're really good.
Right, we have gotten some good chance. So some good 1 drop quick cast.
So you think the power level is maintaining, Joey?
No, I said it's
Um,
increasing.
No, for
Based on
Joey.
those.
It sounds
Okay.
like so you think it's increasing in
I
Joey.
think I gotta agree with Oscar that like you can have the power set, like the power level of the set as a whole be pretty low. Like I always felt like the previous set had like a fairly low power level, except then you print like a handful of cards that are just really, really good. So like yes, you know, Ancient Magic Crest cards right now are like pretty low cost, and like they're not high impact cards, they're just decent, you know, they're possible draft cards, you know, you can draft around Magic Crest and stuff. But I agree with Oscar that, you know, the Shell's Foresight, no, it was Shell's Return.
Yeah, return.
Yeah. Like that's a really good card. And you know, Dreams is just insanely good card. So I think that some of the cards are, you know, low power level, but those cards just being super as good as they are, you know, do kind of bring up the power level of the set as a whole. And
Yeah, definitely. Looking at these spoilers at this point in time, like I feel like after this same amount of cards were spoiled for the last set, it definitely feels like there's more like power cards in here that are just obviously like Oscar said, just the one cost ones. I think are a good indicator of the strongest power levels in the set are like the sheer volume of things you can do for only one will. I think is always a good indicator. But and then things like the 2-cost raw and stuff like that, and the potential strength of the ruler I think is pretty high. Just all the things surrounding the ruler are low power level, which I think balances it out. So it's I feel like if like the power level of like Lapis Cluster, or we'll say well, I guess Lapis Cluster overall was like an 8 and Ancient Knights was a 6, and this just looks like it's a 7, so it's not like a huge bump up, but it's a little bit higher. Those were terrible number ratings, I realize, but
Yeah.
gives
I
you
hate
guys the
them.
idea. Awesome. Well, I think that about wraps everything
you
up.
don't you don't
Or-
want to talk about the super cool Demon King Welser? I know we don't really have a
We
lot
did
of
talk
time.
about a ruler for a while. We can talk about him
Yeah.
next week.
Yeah,
Just
he
so
could.
everybody
We could spotlight
to
him.
look forward to, and maybe we'll see
The-
more cards that help him.
Yeah, and there's only going to be 2 rulers in the set, so we have plenty of time to spotlight
Oh, really?
both of them. There are 2 or 3. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, we'll probably get. Do you think we'll get a ruler next week? I don't think so. I think they'll wait a week.
I hope
once
so.
every 2
That'd be
weeks.
cool.
No, I think there'd be one.
Yeah.
Because they're only going to do
Crazy.
spoilers for what? We just had 1 week, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then like 3.5
4
weeks, and then we'll get the whole set.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I guess. Then
Yeah,
maybe.
well, Oscar was saying that we had like around 80 cards spoiled, and so we had 20 cards spoiled this week. So I'll have 20 the next week for 40, and then 60, 80 for around 4 weeks total
Yeah.
spoilers if they keep on what they're doing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, obviously, if you guys are watching this, you probably watched already, but you know, stay tuned for Joey's videos on those daily, because he loves doing that. And yeah, we'll try and see if we have time to put together some of those Faria decks and do a random tournament of Farias all over the place and see how that goes.
Yeah, and thanks for watching and listening, and again, hopefully we'll have the iTunes podcast going soon. And if you're from the future listening to this, we're on iTunes now.
Thanks for
Hopefully.
listening on
I don't-
iTunes, future people.
Make sure to check
I
us
don't
out on
think it'll
YouTube
be-
if you're on iTunes, or hopefully we get Google Play as well.
Are we posting this on YouTube?
Yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so
that's
Well,
why we're
well,
recording
you know,
video.
yeah, if they're on iTunes, they can check us out on YouTube. But what if they're on YouTube? They can check
Yeah,
us out on
maybe
iTunes.
maybe you guys have been listening to us and never knew we had video on our YouTube, and you want to see what we look like. Come check us out there.
YouTube.com/TCG Scrubs, TCGScrubs.com, Facebook.com/TCG Scrubs, all that good stuff.
But yeah,
I think there's a
thanks
bubble
for
down here.
thanks for being
No
there
one-
with us, guys.